now?
Yes, that's right.
Hi, Sharina, how are you?
Hello, good, thank you. How are you?
Absolutely spot on. So what I'm going to do is I will kick off now, and we're actually recording this as well. So if you've got questions, we've got about 17 people joining us during the session. If you want to ping through a chat note of any questions at all through this, I've got two people. I've got Sandy and Nikki who'll be able to respond to stuff through the chat. And if there's anything that we can't do straight away, we'll just get back to you after the session. The other thing is, if there's specific detail stuff that you want, because today I'm going to do an overview of Pim and how it works, you can just, we can arrange for a separate session as well. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm going to cover in today's session with Pim is the following headings, basically. So I will go through all of these areas, but I may not do them in exactly the same order. I do have my setup on my copy of Pim at the moment for residential. I also have commercial on my phone, so I may flick between the two, but a lot of the stuff that I'm going to do is the same for both commercial and for residential settings. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just going to flick out of this screen, stop sharing this one, and I'm going to move to sharing my iPad screen. Okay. So there could be a change now, so you should be able to see my iPad screen. Could somebody just confirm that they can see my iPad screen for me?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, great. Okay.
No. Just go back to that.
Just let me get rid of that. Just going to get rid of that. Okay. Right. So let's start from scratch with this. So thanks everybody for joining me.
I reply to everybody, or so everyone sees the same response, yeah? Yeah.
Thank you everybody for joining me today for our first webinar. As I was just mentioning earlier on, if you do want to send through a question while I go through all this stuff, if you could please send through a chat. Just bear me 1 second.
Could be private.
Okay.
And Nikki or Sandy from the team will be able to respond to you. If there's anything really specific, we can set up a separate session. So one of the things that we wanted to do with this was just to give people an overview of Pim and how it works, and where you have the flexibility to customize and to create your settings to suit the way that you work, on your templates to suit the way that you work. So I'm just going to go through a few things. And so in terms of Pim, with navigating in Pim, you've got a navigational toolbar. Obviously on the left-hand side is where you conduct your inspections. On your right-hand side is where you have settings, where you can customize Pim to suit the way that you work. And the other thing that's quite important to utilize when you can is the Pim Help Desk. So the Pim Help Desk does actually give you access to, in here, a list of videos, help sheets, and it gives you an opportunity to learn at your own pace whenever you want to. And we're continually updating this, so please use this at your leisure. The other thing is that we do have a contact us area within the help desk. And the contact us allows anybody in the team to answer really quickly any questions that you might have regarding Pim. So one of the things that I always find when I'm catching up with people is sometimes little things can just fester. And I had a session with somebody today and they said, oh, something's not coming up on the report. And I asked the question, have you actually got in touch with us? And let us know. So what I always say is, if there's something that's not quite right or you've got an idea, don't keep it in, give us a ring. And use this contact form to put in any questions, any suggestions, and then anybody in the team can get back to you very, very quickly. The other thing is that if there's ever anything that's not right with Pim in terms of it's not producing a report, we may ask you to send the diagnostics file. And the diagnostics file can be sent through Send Diagnostics. It creates a little token and it helps us to troubleshoot quickly. When you do send that through, it really helps us if you put in the address of the property that you're having problems with, and then we can troubleshoot quickly. Okay, I'm just going to go straight into producing an inspection. Now, the majority of you will produce an inspection by importing data from your property management system. I'll go through that later on in this session, but you can always, with Pim, create an inspection without having to bring data in from elsewhere. And you can do that in the inspections area of the app, pressing the plus sign, and it will come up with a floating box that allows you to choose a property profile. With the commercial settings, you've got property profiles like industrial, retail, etc., that are embedded within the app. In the residential, the standard is small and large. These can all be tailored to your property profile. So again, this morning I was doing a training session with a group over in Melbourne, and they only have 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartments. So they have created their own property profiles for 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartments in the settings, so that when they come to do a new inspection, by manually, they can select one of these. So I'm just going to select the small property address I'm going to put in, test address. So the testing and the postcode, I'll put it in as 6,000. So all these information fields will be brought in from your property management system, but you can fill them in manually. I'll just put the owner in here as Jeremy. I'll put in an owner email, jeremy@gmail.com. And I'm going to put a phone number in there as well. And the reason that we do that is not so that it goes into the report, but from Pim, you can actually get in touch directly from the app, either by phone or send a report to somebody. So if you do have email addresses and owner details, you can add those to the list very easily. The other thing when you're creating a report manually is you'll see that you've got the property icons in here with the number of bedrooms and bathrooms. If you press on those, it brings up the room options. So before you create your inspection report, you can actually go through and you can change by using the plus and the minus what rooms are involved in that property. Okay, so you can change for a start, delete by pressing the minus, add an extra room like a study. And you'll see in here that I've got maintenance required, suggested improvements, hour summary and tenant summary. They're all clicked. This is a routine inspection, so I'm going to put those on the front of my report. Once I've gone through that, I can press done, and I'm ready to do my inspection. When I go into my inspection for the first time, you'll see it says tap to start your inspection, and there is an orange lozenge in here. If I press that orange lozenge, up comes the rooms associated with the property, and also the maintenance required, suggested improvements, hour summary, and tenant summary. So the first time I go to a property, it's more than likely I'm going to have to tweak it so that it actually represents the property more accurately. And I can do a number of things. In the top right-hand corner, I've got edit. And edit allows me to move rooms around, which I can do by, you'll see these little gray bars on the right-hand side. I can move those up and down if I put my finger on the gray bars. Move that bedroom down. I can also press edit again, and I can delete any rooms that I don't need. So in this instance, I don't need an ensuite bathroom. So I can delete that bathroom or that area. I can also add another room as well. So if I press plus in the right-hand corner, up comes my floating screen. I've got my area, and then I get areas, and I can go through and choose an additional room to add. I'm going to add a family room, press done. It appears at the bottom of my list. I can press edit and then move it up. Family room next to the laundry. So with Pim, you don't have to be online when you do this. You can be offline, and you can basically tailor each property to exactly how you want it in terms of the rooms associated with the property, and the order in which they're in. The other thing that some people occasionally ask is, what happens if I've got a room that's a little bit different and it doesn't appear on the list? Well, the way to resolve that is you can add any room to your list of inspection areas by going into Settings in the bottom right-hand corner, going to Pim Admin, going to Inspection Areas, which is the third one down, and then you can add whatever room you require. So I'm going to add a sunroom. So that now appears in my list, and that's in my master list for future use. I go back into my inspection, press the plus sign, press the area, add my sunroom. It's in my list, and then I can move it to where it needs to go to. Just by the family room. Done. Okay, so with Pim, once you've actually created your inspection, and then you've tweaked it, it stays within Pim. So next time you do a repeat inspection, it'll have the same areas in the same order, so you don't have to change it again. So try to minimize the tweaking. Once we go into an area, I've got my data collection screen, and you'll see I've got a number of different things in here that I can add information to that room. I've got my quick check labels. Our default is standardized to clean and damage working and maintenance, but you can actually choose to either not use those and have them removed from your template, or you can change the labels on these in settings. So the standard's clean and damage working and maintenance, but you could change it if you like to satisfactory, not satisfactory, tenant action, landlord action, or a good, poor, fair, whatever makes sense the way that you work. So once you go into an area, you can tick those, and then you can capture some notes. So you'll see there are two areas for notes. The main notes section will go into your report, so I can add my notes, obviously by keying in. I can also, if I am connected to the internet, I can use the microphone on my keyboard. And also if you've got the more up-to-date iOS settings as well, otherwise it may not be there. But I can use the microphone to capture any comments on the state of the condition of the area. Now, what I say to people with using Siri is always check what it's come up with, because sometimes it can drop in some absolute fireballs, let's put it that way. And it's usually the best time to use it is if you're in a quiet area. So if you're doing a property condition report or an entry or an exit and there's no one in the room, that's great. If you've got a tenant who's sat behind you or with you at the time, you may not want to use Siri. So it's one of those things that it does get used to your voice, but it's good to do it in a quiet area. And it's a really good way of capturing notes quickly. Sometimes you can just take the photos, sit in the car after you've done your inspection, and then use Siri as well. But you will need an internet connection, and you can either have that by hotspotting your phone to your iPad, or if you're using a device that's got a SIM card in there. The other thing that you can do with Pim is you can use the shorthand words and phrases. And the shorthand words and phrases are commonly used phrases that appear or accessible, should I say, by pressing the little circle with crosses in, here or here, and it will provide you with a list of available terms to drop in. Now, the ones that are in Pim are really places. You may find that you want to change some of those. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But what you can do with the shorthand words and phrases is you'll see there's a little filter button up here, and if you press the filter button, it allows you to filter by relevance. So what you can do is build up a library of terms that are just relevant for the garden or for the kitchen or for the bathroom. So you can quickly go through and drop stuff in. So if I go into here, I'm going to drop in fence needs replacing. I just press it, drop it in. The other way of doing it though, is if you know the abbreviation associated with the phrase, you can key in the abbreviation. I know this one is fence. Press the space bar. The phrase appears above, you can touch it and drop it in. And one of the things that you can also do with Pim now is if you capture something once, so say for example, I'm just going to go into here. The garden is being maintained well with all lawns mowed and all flower beds weeded. And if I want to use that frequently, I can then go to above my keyboard, this little clipboard with a plus on it, press that and it'll say, oh, do you want to add this to your shorthand words and phrases? And I'll say, yes, I do. I'll put an abbreviation in. I'll call it GG or GGD, Good Garden. And I'm going to add it to this area only. That means that next time I want to use that phrase in here, I can then go GGD, press the space bar, it appears above, I can drop it in. Or I can go to the little circle and cross, bring that up, and it should appear in there. There you go, GGD, the garden is being maintained well. I can just drop it in. So with the shorthand words and phrases, again, you don't need to actually be connected to the internet for that. So in the instance that you use specific phrases regularly, you can capture those quite easily by keying them in once or speaking them in once. Use the little clipboard here with a plus on it, and then add it to your phrases with an abbreviation. And that's a good way of getting comments in quickly. Final thing in here is taking photos. So what I want to do now is I'll press the photo bar and up comes my camera. And please excuse the highly entertaining office. There are two cameras within Pim. There's the one that appears on the right-hand side of the screen. So with the camera on the right-hand side of the screen, this allows me to take one photo at a time, and then I've got a number of options. And those options include retaking the photo. I can choose to use that picture as a cover photo, so it'll go at the front page of my report. And that's great for a feature shot, so that it evidences that you've been to the property. I can also add some notes to this photo as well by pressing the Add Notes bar. Look at the fantastic poster. And add that to the photo and press Use Photo. So with Pim and using the camera on the right-hand side, you can take one picture at a time. You can add some notes to that picture. Nice wall, but blank. Use Photo. Done. Now, the other option that you have is if you go into another room and press the camera again, you'll see on the left-hand side of the screen, there is a yellow camera, sorry, a blue camera, multi-shot. If I press that, it turns yellow and it allows me to take multiple photos without having to press Use Photo. So I can just click, take a picture. Just going to zoom in on that one there. And I can take up to 20 photos before it asks me to take another 20 photos. So I've taken 6 photos just using my multi-shot camera. And at this point, I can press the photo bar, which says I've taken 6 photos. And I can look at those photos and I can decide if I don't want to keep any associated with this report. So I can press the edit button in the top right-hand corner and I can delete any that I don't want by pressing the delete sign. And I can also go into any photo and I can add some notes to that photo as well. So I could go into here, nice hat, probably needs removing from the table. I can also choose in here whether to keep it attached to the report. So you can take photos in an inspection and not include them in the report. You can keep them there for just your eyes only, and you can toggle them off, and so it will stay with the inspection, but it won't go into the report. You can also, if you see in the top right-hand corner, there's a little action button. And the little action button will allow you to send a photo straight away if you connect it to the internet, either by email or via text or messenger to somebody that needs to see that picture. So it could be that you've got something that very quickly needs to be resolved, whether it's a health and safety issue, or if you want to get some advice from a colleague, and you can just send that straight away to somebody. I'll just send this through to my wife. Just testing. But it's a great way of getting photos quickly and communicating quickly with somebody else in the team or a landlord without having to produce a full report, something that needs sorting out. I don't know, maybe it's a serial number of parts, something like that. So I'm going through my inspection. I'm capturing my notes, my photos, and then I'm just going to go down to the bottom here. So these areas of maintenance required, suggested improvements, and now a summary, go onto the front of your report. But remember with Pim, you can actually customize your reports quite a lot. So if you want to change any of these titles, or if you want to add additional titles, which we call call-outs to the front of your report, get in touch with us at support@propertyinspectionmanager.com, and we can amend your templates. So I'm just going to add some copy in here. Maintenance required. I'm just going to put that fence in, press the space bar, drop it in there. Our summary, I'm just going to go into our summary. I know that okay, press the space bar, a lovely inspection, no problems to report. And then the final thing that I've got, which we're increasingly finding people are using, is we can produce a second report that just goes to the tenant. So if you just want to send a quick message to the tenant and say, thank you very much, we've been to the property, you need to know some stuff, you can do it in this area here. So if I press the tenant summary, and I've got my shorthand words and phrases in here, I can press that. I've got a couple of options embedded in my Pim. I'm going to press the top one, and it says, thank you very much for allowing me through the property for your latest inspection. There are a number of items noted which require attention. And what I can do is just put in here the things that need doing. Please could you remove the rubbish from the back door because it's created a health hazard and we're seeing evidence of rodents on the property. You can also add in there photos to go with it as well. So if I just take the shot from the camera, take a picture of the rubbish by the back door, click, use photo, done. And then that can create a separate report. I'll show you that in a second. One final thing with photos, I'm just going to go back and take another picture. You'll see that there is an option when you press the camera to access the photo library. Now, some people have been using that recently for doing virtual inspections and getting tenants to send in pictures and then put them into the photo library on the device. And you can access the photo library from your device and you can select some pictures and you can drop them into your report. So a couple of options here. If you are going to do an inspection and you want to just quickly run in and out and take some photos on your device and then bring them in later when you've got time, you can do that by pressing the camera and import from camera roll. And, or you can get, you know, as long as you get photos into your camera roll, you can bring those into your inspection. So I've gone through, I've done my inspection, go back to the home page, and then I've got my action button in the top right-hand corner. Once I press the action button, I've got several options. If I press preview inspection, it will merge my comments and photos and put them into my inspection template. And then I can actually look at that, make sure that I'm happy with it before I send it. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, let's view it now. So I've got my inspection. I'm going to have a quick look at it. I would have all these details populated if I put them in. I've got my introductory copy, which you can tailor. So again, if you want to change that, let us know. I've got a picture of the outside of the property. I've got my logo at the top. And then I've got maintenance required, suggested improvements, and our summary on the first page. So as a landlord, what am I up for? What do I need to know about or budget for? Is there anything else that I need to know about? And then on the second page, I've got my areas associated with the property in the order in which they have been put. And I've got my ticks and crosses for easy identification of things that I need to check out in more detail. I've got my notes associated with that room, and I've got a disclaimer down here. So we do include that generic disclaimer, and in that generic disclaimer, again, if there's anything that you want changing, mark up a copy, send it back to us as support, and we can get that sorted out for you. The photos come behind, and what I tend to do with my photos is I take them in landscape, and I take them in landscape because they tend to fill out the page better. I see quite a few reports that come in where they've just taken portrait photos and they're quite small with a lot of white space around. We can change the size of photos, so we can increase the number on a page or we can reduce the number on a page. But definitely I find that using a landscape picture fills it out better and you get a better quality photo. You'll see in here as well that you've got the area in which they were taken, any notes that are associated with that picture, and the date of which the photo is taken. We can include a time that a photo was taken as well, and it can be presented on the report as a watermark. The watermark setting is in settings, and I'll come back onto that in a second. We can change this if you get in touch with us. So that's my report. It's ready to go. Back to the landlord or whatever workflow you adopt. So now what I can do is go to the home page with the address details. I can press the action button and I'll submit. And then that will send my completed report back to the email address associated with the account that's in settings. And if you're using a property management system that integrates with Pim, whether it's Cirrus 8, Property Tree, Property Me, Console Cloud, Shintaro, anything like that, it will then push that report back up into the property management system where it can be saved and can be forwarded to the customer or to the landlord. The other thing that I can do is in here, if I press my action button again, I've got my submit tenant inspection. And the tenant inspection template is different. So this should come up in a second. So this will do a report just for the tenant. It'll do a merge if you've got the name of the tenant in there. Thanks very much for allowing me through. Please could you remove the rubbish? And it's got a photo of the rubbish behind as well to evidence what you're talking about. And that can be sent independently to the tenant. So from the one inspection, you've got a report that can go to the landlord potentially, one that can go to the tenant, and there is also potentially a third report that you can do. So if you go back into an area, you'll see that you've got notes and additional notes. Notes goes into the report. Additional notes, you can create one more report that just condenses all your additional notes. So you might want to use them when you get back to the office as a reminder to do things. So for example, I could put in here, please remember to check with Bob the gardener if he is doing the weeding, because I'm sure he's contracted to do so. And you can access those consolidated notes by pressing the Submit Cleaning and Maintenance Report, and then that just puts together a full list of all your additional notes. Just view that now. So I've just got a list of my additional notes. So from one inspection, one for the landlord, one for the tenant, one for you, or one to go to a department within the office. If you want anything additionally set up for your account, again, just let us know and we can get that done. Now, obviously what I've done there is a routine inspection report. So that didn't include any sub-inspection areas. But what I can also do, if I go back into that report and go into an area, say I'm just going to the bathroom, if I press the notes section, you'll see above the keyboard, there is a little SIA. I can press that SIA and it will show me all the sub-inspection areas associated with that room. And then I can look at those to remind me what to look at. And I can actually press on there, drop it into my notes, and then add any additional notes that I want to. So I can go into towel rails, the inspection, no problems to report. But I can actually use that to show all my sub-inspection areas for a routine. Now, if I want to do a property condition report, I can go to the type of inspection and I can change that property inspection report to a property condition report. And that will bring through all my sub-inspection areas. So I'm just going to use the same data that I've had before, but I'm going to go into my front gardens. I'm going to go into my sub-inspection areas. And then at this point, I can get rid of any sub-inspection areas that I don't need. There's no watering system in this property, no garden hose, delete them. But then I can go into each of my sub-inspection areas. I can use my clean and damaged and working, add any notes. There's a great big hole in the driveway. It's not immediately in need of repair, but we should look to do this in the next 6 months. So I can go through my sub-inspection areas. Add anything I want to, I'll just drop some stuff in there. And then when I come back to my home page and go up to my action button up here, I can preview the inspection as before, and it's going to prompt me to say, is this an entry or an exit report? I can press entry. I'm just going to use the Western Australian version, but obviously you'll have your own version for your entry and exit reports. And then that will put your notes into this area, your ticks and crosses, and your photos coming behind. Now, if I'm going to do an exit inspection, I can find the previous property condition report for an entry. I can do a repeat inspection. And then I can go in and use my entry as my basis for my repeat. So I can go into here, go to my sub-inspection areas. I'm just going to get rid of this. So if you do a repeat inspection, it won't include the photos, but it will include the rooms. It'll include last time's notes. And I can put something new in here. What a beautiful new driveway. It's as new. Go back to the home page, press my action button, preview that inspection. Is this an entry or an exit? This is an exit, and it's an exit based on this previous ingoing. And what it should do is create a report with my entry comments on the left-hand side and my exit comments on the right-hand side. And in this instance, there'll be no photos at the end, because I haven't taken any. Now, when you've completed your report and come back to the home page, there's a couple of things that you can do. So if, as I say, if you submit a report, it goes back to your email address and it goes back to your property management system if it's integrated with that property management system. But you can also, you'll see there's a filing cabinet in the top right-hand corner. If you press the filing cabinet, you'll see all the reports that have been created against that inspection. So I'm just going to go into this one because it's got more in here, but I've got all these different reports that have been created, and you'll see on the right hand side that you've got some options. So if I press any of those options buttons, so I'm going to press this options button next to the tenant, you'll see I can view the report, which obviously just means you can have a look at what you've done, but you can also share the report. So if I press share the report, it will then give me some options to email it to the tenant inspection report as a PDF. I can select that And if I've got the tenant's email address on my homepage, it'll do a mail merge and hello tenant, please find attached your report. It will attach it to the email. It's using your email app in your device, so it'll have your signature in there as well, and you'll be able to send it directly from your Pim app to the tenant. Same thing for the property inspection report. You can share that report and you can send that directly to the owner as a PDF. It'll do a mail merge, send that off as well. So you can actually send from Pim your reports directly to the landlord and to the tenant, if you would like to. The other thing that you can do is you'll see there's an option here to share photos. If you press share photos, you can send them to a file sharing service like Dropbox or OneDrive, or if it's for a routine inspection, you can send a few photos like this one. I've got 12. And you can mail them to yourself or mail it to somebody else as a zipped up file, and that will save the individual photos outside of the report as individual JPEGs. So you can zoom those up, you can use those later, and you can hold those on your servers. So that's something else that isn't always used, but you can. I was doing some work with Salvation Army down in Melbourne, and they actually pressed share photos, and they would send them back into their servers through an FTP server, so they had all their photos saved in the report, but also saved individually as JPEGs. So if you want to know more about that process, again, get in touch with us at support@propertyinspectionmanager.com and we can help you with that. Okay, so that's a quick run through, and I appreciate it's a very quick run through of how to do the inspection. But what I also want to show you now is a couple of other things in the settings. So in Pim, if you look at the settings area on the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that you've got the first page will allow you to go into this area called Advanced Integrations. And Advanced Integrations will allow you to talk to other property management systems. Now, we're doing quite a lot of integration at the moment, so this number of different programs that we work with is increasing. But you'll see in here, we've got the ability to link with Shintaro, Property Tree, Cirrus 8. If you haven't done it already and you're using a system that's integrated with us, get in touch and we can send you individual instructions on how to do that. But essentially what this allows me to do, and I'm just going to use my options in here, my property tree settings. I've enabled property tree. I put in my particular link, my API code. So now I can just go into import. I can pull down to refresh the screen. And that says I've got 2 inspections that I can bring into the app. And you'll see in here, it's got address details. It's got the profile of the property, in this case, an apartment. And what you can do in Pim is link profiles to profiles in your property management system to profiles in Pim, so that when you set up new inspections, it has the right rooms associated with an apartment. I think for this one, it won't be set up at the moment, but I'm just going to bring these in. So I'm going to import selected, continue. Okay, that's come through. So now I've got those 2 inspections ready to go. And that's brought through the information from my property tree account, which includes the name of my owner, their email address. I've got my rent amount details, contact details with phone numbers in case I want to get in touch with them, and lease details as well. And with certain systems, you can also include the key number and a property info field, which will, you can put stuff in there like the access to the property is through a side gate, or be careful there's a dog kept in the backyard, or other information that might be useful for you. So yeah, get in touch with us if you want to integrate. The other thing is that with the systems that allow us to, or allow you to put a property profile against a new property when you enter it into your system, if we work with you on that, we can actually set it up in Pim so that we can create those property profiles that match. So again, just get in touch with us if you want to do that. So I'm just going to go back. I think my screen's just frozen. Just bear with me. It has. I'm just going to stop this share, and I'm going to share again. Okay. Okay, that should be back on track again. Okay, so just going to go a quick whiz through my settings. So settings, first page of settings, Pim Admin. Pim Admin, the second page, there are lots of areas that you can use to customize the app. I'll go through them very quickly, one by one. So inspectors. Inspectors is where you set up your inspectors who use the app. If you've got multiple inspectors using the same device, you can add them into here by pressing the plus in the top right-hand corner and adding their name and email address details, so you can have multiple inspectors. Make sure when you're setting up that you go into your name and select the correct template for your business. So usually you will have a property inspection report, which will be your routine template. Make sure that you go into here and select the correct template for you. And same for the property condition report. You should have one in there for you as well. Most people don't use the bond inspection template because they tend to use the exit portion, but we can create that for you as well. The cleaning report template can be customized. That's the additional notes one. And the tenant inspection report template, make sure you choose the right one for you as well. Always press done, and that way it saves your templates, so that when you actually create your template, it's going to merge your comments and photos into the correct template for you. There are occasions where we'll see people having the template set to the default, so it's not using the one with their logo in, or they may have the wrong template set up for their property condition report. Always remember with a property condition report to select the correct template with your name as a business and default in there. Don't put exit in there, put default in there. You actually choose whether it's an entry or an exit when you come to submit the report. So underneath inspectors, you've got shorthand words. Shorthand words is your library commonly used terms. I showed you before how you could key in once and save it from an inspection, but you can also go into this area and you can delete any that you're not going to use. You can amend stuff that's in here as well. So I can go into this one where I've got oven and stove were clean, bench top and flooring clean and clear. It's got an abbreviation of OSC. You can come in here and you can change it or you can add to it, and you can also assign it to the different areas so that when you filter, it will only show you the ones that are applicable for that area. I definitely recommend that this is a good place to spend some time in. Inspection areas, you'll see within your app, if you're on the commercial settings, you'll have offices, etc. You can go into this list of rooms, navigate through, you can disable ones that you don't need. You can go into each of these rooms and you'll see there are a number of different things that you can do in here. So for gardens, I've got the ability to add some pre-populated notes if I want to. So when I create a new inspection report, it will already have some wording in. Now, if the standard wording that you always use in an area, it may be an idea to put it into this space. You've also got your sub-inspection areas. And again, have a look through these sub-inspection areas and see if there's anything that you want to add. You may want to add pots, for example. Plant pots, so I'll add those in there as well. So all of this is customizable and tailorable. So check the inspection areas and sub-inspection areas. Smart property profiles. This is where they're defaulted to when you first set up the app. For the commercial settings, you'll have all the retail, office, small office, etc. For residential, you've got large and small. The small one is selected as the default import. So whenever you do a new inspection, it will come through as a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. If you want to just simplify this and go straight into the one that's selected for default, you can just go into here and change it to suit your rent roll. So I usually change this default 3-2 to have 1 bathroom and 1 ensuite rather than 2 bathrooms. And I usually add my passageway as well. So this is the area where you would set up your different property profiles to suit your rent roll as well. So if you've got commercial, you'd have your different types of offices. If you've got predominantly apartments, you may have 1-bedroom apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, that sort of thing. Quick check labels. The quick check labels are those little ticks and crosses. You can actually configure your ticks and crosses in the app. So you can go into each of the property inspection report, which is your routine, the property condition report and the bond inspection report. And you can go in here and you can change the labels. So if for your routine, you want to put satisfactory, for example, you can change it in here, and then you can put tenant action, and landlord action. Or landlord attention. Maintenance. If you can spell correctly, that'd be good as well. Done. So you can change those in the settings in the app. I won't go into all of these. I'll do these in some in another session. But you do have the ability in Pim to share your settings. If you've got multiple devices in the team, get in touch with us before you do anything with that. But it means you can use one device as a master, and you can have it all set up within one device, and then you can share settings with other team members. But don't do anything without getting in touch with us, just to be on the safe side. You can default your inspection type within Pim to either a routine or a condition report. You can enforce, so what that does, it means that you cannot submit a report unless something goes into each of the areas. I don't generally recommend that, because if you don't have something in there, it won't allow you to finish the report. It may be that you need it. If so, this is where it is. You can change the report format in Pim. So you can have it as a Microsoft Word document, a PDF document, or both. Now, if you are going to do that, the Microsoft Word document, when it comes to you, you can make some tweaks on your desktop, but you can't push it back into Pim. So we strongly recommend that you do as much work in Pim as possible, because then it's saved in Pim. You've got the history of your inspection, and it's the most up-to-date version. But this is where, if you want to send your document back to your email address as a Microsoft Word document, you can do. We do also have the ability to allow signatures within the app. So if you click that on to allow signatures, when you're doing an inspection, you can go to the home page in inspection. You'll see there's 3 little dots in the top right-hand corner. If you press those, you can add an agent signature. So you can drop it in there, confirm. You can also put a tenant signature in there as well. Confirm, and then it will come up into the report when it's generated, which I think, if I just do that now, it should do. Bear with me 1 second. Right. It's just taking a little longer. Sorry about this. May come back onto that one in a second. It's just spinning around. Okay, come back onto that in a second. We do have the ability as well to copy photos to the camera roll or the photos album. We don't generally use this these days, but because what happens is if you've got all the photos that have been taken with Pim added to your camera roll, unless you're really thorough with cleaning out, you can end up filling up the storage on your device quite quickly. So we tend to have that switched off now because you can export your photos straight after an inspection into Dropbox or another file saving service, which makes sense. A couple of final things in here. You've got routine settings and property condition report settings. If you want to include sub-inspection areas within your routine inspection, you can switch this on, and that means that you'll have the wall, ceiling, windows, etc. all added, which just means it's going to increase the number of areas that you've got to fill in, but you can do this here. You can also, when you produce a new report, you can have quick checks always ticked. So if you have a routine inspection where you're quite happy to have it clean and damaged working, or just satisfactory, if there's just one button ticked, that can be ticked on here as well. You can also use this disable pre-populated notes function. So if you do have pre-populated notes within inspection areas and sub-inspection areas, but you only want to use them for property condition reports, you can disable in here. Same thing goes for property condition report settings. Make sure you've got prompt for entry and exit switched on. That means that when you're submitting, it's going to ask you whether it's an entry or an exit. You can have the quick checks always ticked for clean and damaged and working. Just be really, really careful though if that's the case, because you'll then have all the rooms with all the sub-inspection areas pre-ticked. Make sure that you go through and delete any that aren't applicable, and make sure that you're doing your report thoroughly. Otherwise that can be a little bit of an issue in there. The other thing is we've got this repeat inspection area text button switched on. That means that every time that you produce a new report, or you do every time you do a repeat inspection based on the last time's inspection, it will include the notes within the new inspection that's been created for you. So if I go, for example, into one that I've just done, I'll just choose this. Choose this one here. This is just bear me 1 second, I'll just get out of that. Right, just go back into this one. Okay. So if I do a repeat inspection based on this one here, continue, what it allows me to do is start a new inspection, but it will have last time's notes in there. Now, what I can do is I can have that switched off in settings so that if I want to, I can turn off the reuse inspection area text from here. And what I can do is a repeat inspection based on last time. It will create a new inspection. But what it will do is take out all the notes. So it'll have the same rooms in the same order, but it won't have the text in there. But there's a little clipboard on the bottom right corner of my notes section that if I press that, it tells me what was there last time. So if you're doing a repeat inspection, it will allow you to do the same rooms in the same order. If you've got reuse inspection area text switched on, it will include the notes in the section, and you can change them in the notes section. If you have it switched off, they won't be in the section, but you can use the little history button here to show you what was there last time. So either way, you've got the history of what was there last time, so you can see what you need to be looking at, either in that notes section or accessible through the little clipboard there. So it's nearly time to come to the end of this, and I know I've gone through quite a lot. If there are specific questions that you've got that you want following up on, if you can ping through an email to support@propertyinspectionmanager.com, we can get back to you. If there is anything that you sent through the chat that we haven't got back to you, we'll do that later as well. We can always jump on and do a Zoom and get you sorted out. But the key thing from today is if you do want to get in touch with us at all, please either use the support email address, or if you go into the Pim Help Desk and press contact us, send us whatever it is that you need to know about or get rectified. Property Inspection Manager has now been on the go for nearly 10 years. We started developing this in 2010, and we sold our first version of PIM back in September 2011 after we developed the app. So we are increasing the number of integrations that we've got with other systems. We're increasing the flexibility that we've got with the templates and with the settings, but we can only improve the app with feedback from you. So what I would say is, please, 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 if you've got any ideas or any frustrations or any just comments generally, get in touch with us and let us know, because it's only that way that we can actually take this to the next level and really put the smile on your face. So this was going to be one of those silent sessions where I haven't activated the lots of feedback thing apart from through chat. So thank you ever so much for being with us today, and thank you for supporting PIM. And as I say, please get in touch with us through the support at Property Inspection Manager or through the Pim Help Desk. And have a great week. Hope that's helped you. Cheers now. Bye.